Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the North Sydney Firemen's Club. Well, folks, it's great to see you all here this evening. Thank you so much for coming. It's nice to see Conservative candidate for Cape Breton Council, Fiona MacLeod, here with us this evening. Fiona, you have a large riding to cover too, so I'm really glad you can make it here with us this evening. Now I'd like to introduce to you Erin O'Toole, Leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. Erin was raised in Bowmanville, Ontario, with the middle-class values of hard-working and helping your neighbour. Before his career in politics, he served our country in the Royal Canadian Air Force. After he completed his active service in the military, he pursued a law degree at Dalhousie University right here in Nova Scotia. And that's where he met his beautiful wife, Rebecca. In 2012, Erin decided to run as a Conservative candidate, and since winning his seat, he has held senior positions in Parliament, including Minister of Veterans Affairs. And in August 2020, he was voted as Leader of Canada's Conservatives. Since being elected as leader, he has been advocating for hard-working Canadians and has launched Canada's Recovery Plan. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the next Prime Minister of Canada, Erin O'Toole.
Good evening, Cape Breton. It is so great to be here amongst friends in beautiful Cape Breton. But before I start, as a Tory who got his start here in Nova Scotia, I want to start by congratulating Premier-designate Tim Houston and the Nova Scotia PC team. They had a plan that they put to Nova Scotians, and there's a lot more blue here, including here on Cape Breton Island. And as I said, my lovely wife from Fall River, Nova Scotia is here, Rebecca O'Toole. I got my political start here, as did Rebecca, as did Rodney MacDonald back in that. Nice to see you, Premier. We all got behind someone named John Hamm. And that win in 1999 reminds me so much of what Tim Houston and his PC team offered. Vision for all families in all parts of Nova Scotia. And we're going to follow that with delivering Conservative MPs here in Cape Breton and across Nova Scotia. We have a team that's going to put the needs of families in Cape Breton and across this province first. I know on September 20th there's going to be more blue coming from Cape Breton Island, coming from Atlantic Canada. Conservatives like Eddie Orrell in Sydney, Victoria, and Fiona MacLeod in Cape Breton Council. Passionate people who will fight for Cape Breton in Ottawa, opposed to Justin Trudeau's MPs who represent Trudeau's Ottawa on Cape Breton Island. People here deserve better than that. And the last year and a half has been tough for Nova Scotians, for Canadian families in all parts of this country. And that's why I'm glad to be here tonight, to talk to you about the Conservative Party's plan to get our economy back on track and secure Canada's future. This reckless election called as the Delta variant is popping up across this country, called when there's fires in BC, called when there's fires of chaos in Afghanistan. Mr. Trudeau putting his interest ahead of the national interest. But as Conservatives, this election does give us the choice to show Canadians that there is a plan to secure the future. Hear, hear. Because I will often say this, friends, and you know that in Cape Breton just as we know it across this country. Our country in this election is at a crossroads. And the two paths ahead of us could not be more different. The first path, the one we're on, is the one of Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, and the Green Party. No plan for Canada's recovery after the pandemic. In fact, they want to shut down entire industries, leaving tens of thousands of families hanging at a time we need those jobs more than ever. None of them in those parties have a plan to get Canada out of debt. In fact, the NDP and the Greens love spending your hard-earned money just as much as the Trudeau Liberals do. None of them have a plan to get that under control, and that's why inflation is suddenly a problem in Canada for the first time in 40 years. Those parties don't realize that costs are skyrocketing for families who are also seeing their wages shrink. And when Justin Trudeau, who called this election, was asked about inflation and its impact on families, he said he doesn't think about monetary policy because it doesn't matter to families. Wow. Those are the words of a prime minister totally disconnected from the cost of living crisis we feel here in North Sydney, on Cape Breton Island, and across this country. But thankfully, that's the path we're on now. But at this crossroads, there is another path. The path being offered by Canada's Conservatives that will focus relentlessly on creating jobs, lowering taxes, helping families and seniors, and getting this country back on track again. When it all comes down to the question on September 20th, it is about who has a plan to get our country back on track and rebuild the economy after COVID, creating jobs in all sectors of the economy and in all regions of the country, including here in Atlantic Canada. Helping the world-class tourism sector on Cape Breton Island find its footing again. Investing in the sustainable development and export of our world-class seafood industry. Building ships here in Nova Scotia and in Canada rather than in communist China. Getting our country back on its feet, back on track, and in the meantime, healing the unity divisions that have become exposed under Justin Trudeau. This election is about who you think can secure the future for your family and for all Canadians. So as I said, I was proud to live in Nova Scotia for 7 years. Lisa said I'm an honorary Nova Scotian. I think that makes it legitimate. Serving in the Canadian Armed Forces did bring me to Shearwater, to Nova Scotia, but it was falling in love with the girl from Fall River that kept me in Nova Scotia even longer. And this province and its people are part of my family and part of our life. But my time in the military, serving here in Atlantic Canada, taught me many things, but most importantly, you need a plan for every mission you're on. And right now, our mission is to recover after COVID-19, our economy, our wellness as families, our wellness as a country, and we have a plan to do that. Canada's recovery plan will get our economy firing on all cylinders in Cape Breton, in Nova Scotia, in all parts of this country. There's 5 pillars to it. We're going to secure jobs by recovering 1 million jobs in 1 year, getting families back to work. We're going to secure accountability by bringing in some of the toughest anti-corruption and transparency laws to clean up the mess in Justin Trudeau's Ottawa. We are going to secure mental health and wellness. The shadow pandemic within the COVID-19 pandemic, we're going to bring forward a Canada Mental Health Action Plan and help our neighbors. Our fourth pillar, we're going to secure our country. We're going to be more ready in the future. We're going to have vaccine capacity, rely on ourselves, because we saw in a crisis, you have to rely on yourselves. So you're going to see a lot more made in Canada with a Conservative government. And finally, our fifth pillar, we're going to secure our economy by balancing the budget over the next decade, because we cannot burden our children and grandchildren with Justin Trudeau's reckless debt. Now is the time for a plan. We've been through a tough time as a country. Now is the time for a Prime Minister with real experience. Now is the time for a team with members like Eddie and Fiona who will put Canadians first. The alternative is more of the same from Justin Trudeau and the NDP and the Greens. More insider deals, more ethical scandals, more cover-ups, more entitlement, and a Liberal government that is borrowing $424 million every day more than we're bringing in as a country. Shame indeed. That's $500 million a day he's spending. And what's that leading to? It's driving up the cost of everything. And families are seeing that across the country. Gas for your car or truck, going up. Groceries for your family, going up. Back to school clothes for your kids, going up. He's making your life less affordable, and then he expects our children and grandchildren to pay back the debt. From day one, a Conservative government will work tirelessly to make life more affordable for you and your families. That will start by a GST holiday in the month of December to give families a break and put $1.5 billion back into the pockets of Canadians. And into the cash registers of Main Street, because you have to use the holiday in a bricks and mortar store and not for a web deal out of the United States. We will cut your gas bill. We will cut with competition your phone and internet bills. We will get grocery bills down, and we will create more solid, well-paying jobs across this great country. Our top priority, we're going to work relentlessly at this, is getting as many people back to work in good jobs in all parts of the country, in every sector, putting wages and pressure to bring wages up as quickly as possible, because every family deserves a recovery after COVID-19, not just those sectors and those parts of the economy that Justin Trudeau likes. Building back better means Justin Trudeau decides who gets an economic recovery, while with Canada's Conservatives, all Canadian families are going to see a recovery from COVID-19. We will not leave Canadian workers behind, because they all deserve a break and they all deserve a future for their children. We will start a new hiring initiative to pay 25% of the salary of new hires for 6 months, with a bonus of 50% to employers who hire people who've been chronically unemployed for longer. That's about giving people an opportunity to work and provide for their families. And we will have targeted support to help the tourism and hospitality sector here in Nova Scotia and across the country, recovering, saving those industries, and incentivizing Canadians to discover this great country so that more Canadians can come and explore beautiful drives like those and places right here in Cape Breton, on Cape Breton Island. You know, my first time in Cape Breton Island was part of the Cabot Trail Relay. I don't think I could do it now. I'm running a lot now, but I couldn't run Smoky, that's for sure. But the vistas, the music, the culture, the people of Cape Breton are spectacular, and I want more Canadians to discover that. We will also double funding for small craft harbors to support jobs and economic opportunity in communities here and across the province. Everyone needs an economic recovery after this last year and a half. And you know, I love this country. Hear, hear. And I know you love it too. In fact, there's a pride here in Cape Breton that is contagious. Ours, I think, is the greatest country in the world. And we must walk the road of reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. We must heal wounds from our past and inequalities in our present. We must and we will muster our true patriot love to help Canada be the country we know it can be for everyone. Millions came to Canada for liberty, for opportunity, and I was reminded of that today at Sydney Harbour, where the statue said, "For a land of our own." The millions of people who came to Canada and are proud of the country. The Liberals, the NDP, and the Greens always seem to want to tear the country, always focused on where we have fallen short or where we're falling short, never focused on where we've stepped up. Well, I want to build the country up. And I think that means it's time to put our flags back up. And as we do that, as we see that majestic maple leaf, that is when we rededicate ourselves to reconciliation, to building that country, to healing from the failures of our past. Because if you don't love your country, are you going to dig deep to make it even better? So friends, when he was first running to be Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau was asked what country he most admired. Do you remember what his answer was? Well, now, friends, I'm running to be Prime Minister, and I want to tell you the country I most admired is the country I've tried hard to serve every day of my life, Canada. I believe our best days are on the horizon. I believe we can bring back hope to this country. I believe we can create 1 million good jobs in the next year. I believe we can get the cost of living under control. I believe we can recover our economy and recover hope in corners of the country where it's missing. And our plan is how we're going to do it. Canada's Conservatives have the plan that Canada needs. We've got the team that Canada needs, including here on Cape Breton Island. So let's secure the future. Let's get to work. Thank you very much.